the Gwen, kind of knowing that's where they're heading. Now, do you look towards something like the GP? Because that becomes kind of king of the castle.
King of the top lane, at least, but Ahri and LeBlanc still available. Wukong as well. One of those three is going to get through this pick ban phase.
Well, and they could actually just leave multiple up. If you're on red side, I think it's actually better to leave 3 OPs up than 2 because you can do a 1-for-2 trade. So I am really interested to see what these last bans are going to be. T1, of course, could take 1 away. If anything, you know, I feel like they would be happy to go for that Wukong plus the LeBlanc or the Ahri. And right now, if I'm RNG, I just don't ban any of them. And, you know, they grab one, you could grab the other. Of course, the question is, you know, if you leave Wukong up, then they grab Wukong, and then, you know, they're going to get one of the OP on the second round around. So probably going to be a Wukong ban is what I'm assuming. But it just depends, you know, how concerned they are about Faker's Ahri and LeBlanc, which are 2 of his best champions.
Well, it will be the Ahri left open, LeBlanc banned away. So Wukong and Ahri are 2 main points of focus here for T1. Of course, they could look towards the top lane and go for something like the Gangplank. And the only problem is, as you say, leaving the Wukong and the Ahri available for RNG.
Yeah, I think it's feels very likely that it would be the Wukong. I think Wukong has been so dominant, but I mean, Ahri for Faker is hard to argue against, so it really just comes down to kind of T1's personal preference here. You know, I am more partial to the Wukong, has been extremely good when it has gotten through, has mostly been banned out, but has been very successful across a lot of different teams when it is left available. Also, by grabbing the Wukong, you're not having Xiaohu, you know, play as much of kind of like the roam style champion, right? You know, he is going to be having to grab the Ahri, so he's not going to be on a TF or a Galio. The Galio, of course, banned out. Xayah has also been incredibly effective, 76% win rate, 13-4 at MSI, so this has been killer. With the Wukong on the other side, you know, T1 could look to dive, you know, heavily towards Gala, so I think it makes sense.
I wonder if T1 would look towards that Caitlyn down towards the bottom side. Has been banned against Gumayusi so many times. Gives you pressure in the lane, but of course you can look for it on the second rotation instead. Now, Gangplank for the top lane pick for Zeus. So instead, actually switched over to the Lissandra, a well-known LeBlanc counter, and can work well into Ahri as well.
Yeah, I mean, he actually brought this out a lot against EG, right? You know, he was playing this in multiple matchups. It wasn't just as the LeBlanc counter, and he was looking really, really effective on it. You know, they could even go, you know, to blind GP. I think it makes a lot of sense here. I love this because GP can play weak side. Now you focus down towards bot lane. You have GP to set up the engages. The Lissandra, the Wukong come in on top of that, looking for that kind of dive onto this RNG backline. And now the question is, do you actually match top here or do you match jungle, right? And where are you going to go as far as that is concerned? It looks like it is going to be Wei Viego. 5-1 now.
Most played this tournament. He's on a tear with it. Of course, it was Xiaohu played the Lissandra into EG, not Faker, who is currently playing in this game. It's hard when they swap over so often. I have to move all my notes around as well. But yeah, it's the Lissandra into the Ahri in the mid lane. Now we're going to see where the bans go. RNG likely to look towards banning AD carries. T1 likely towards banning perhaps top laners that would work well into this Gangplank.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be the expectation. Bin is a very flexible player, you know, is an aggressive player. I'm curious to see what they're going to be concerned about, you know, with this GP. You know, if they think Bin would go something very aggressive, range matchups can be a concern for GP. Something like the Gnar, a possibility for Bin. Hasn't played that much of it across the course of the last split, but it's always an option. Also, Bin's Camille, although often teamed up with Xiaohu's Galio, Bin on the Camille is still a terror, a monster. He's only had it once so far at MSI. Yeah, and we're looking to some of the other champions that are still available that he has played. He has played Aurelia, Gragas, Camille. Those would be the 3 that are left up that he has already shown us. And he is willing to play some of these aggressive matchups. I think if you're going to play Camille, you have to be willing to play heavily towards topside. You know, and really try to punish this GP. You generally want to be able to look for those all-ins and those melee versus, well, GP is melee too, but he functions more like range because he's kind of harassing you down with the parlay. Senaban has become very, very popular, it feels like, in these later stages. Gnar, as you mentioned, you know, great range matchup into the GP. I think these days, it feels like as GPs are getting more skilled, it does start to feel more GP favored. But at the very least, you can kind of go even, be a stable team fighter there. And it feels like RNG, once again, are building for that team fight. And back-to-back games, we're going to have 5th pick for support. Of course, last time Keria got to lock in that 5th pick Morgana. This time, Ming will be the one getting to last pick his support. So will he actually go for that 2v2 style of counter pick, or will he be playing more towards the 5v5?
Gumayusi back on comfort here. He was known really as the Jinx Aphelios guy. This is where he really started to make his name. Just absolute dominance on these picks. Yes, they are not as strong as they once were, but they are still powerful. And Gumayusi playing comfort, when they actually beat RNG in the second round robin, he was playing the Aphelios, something that no one was really playing. And Danny, as well, when he actually beat T1, was playing the Jinx. So people have started to go back a little bit towards that comfort. And it is, again, going to be ranged support here.
I mean, ranged into Tahm Kench makes a lot of sense. It's so easy to harass and you get pressure in that lane. Of course, Jinx losing the extra HP early on, one of the nerfs that brought her down from S tier AD carry, means that she can't harass as heavily in the lane. So expectations are that Gala and Ming will have the priority down towards that bottom side. I do look at RNG's comp and think it lacks a little bit of engage. Obviously, Mantra Inspire from the Karma can get you that movement speed, and a Gnar jumping onto the backline or a Spirit Rush into a Charm, but you don't have that all-in go button like a Lissandra or a Cannon Barrage or a Cyclone from the Wukong.
No, absolutely. I mean, they don't have any point and click engage, right? How you have to depend mostly, I think, on flanks, on things like that, or like T1 last time, you have to be first to the objective, right? If RNG is first to set up at the objective and they're engaging into you, it can be very difficult to walk through the Xayah Feathers, through the Karma Poke. But if RNG, can get ahead, there is the ability to actually play through sides, to look for dives. That's something that they really, really aggressively do enjoy. But T1, I do think, are set up with a more powerful 5v5 comp if they can stay at parity. That is going to be a big question, though, as I think Jinx TK pretty heavily at a disadvantage here against the Xayah Karma on the other side.
And Gumayusi and Keria didn't struggle in the lane itself. They struggled because they were ganked and Gumayusi died level 1, but the laning phase, they were like 20 CS up, they had that push. Here, they won't have the pressure in the 2v2, but my expectation is they should still be able to weather any storm that RNG puts down towards that bottom side.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, a lot of MSI, I think, has been about, unlocking mid lane, right? And being able to actually get ahead through mid and then move your mid laner out towards those sides. And RNG and T1 are both very adept at doing that. If anyone can get a big advantage in that mid lane, it can really start to spill over into these side lanes, and that's where you start to get those enormous leads where things can get blown apart, because players at this level are just so good at minimizing loss. Even in these very, very bad matchups, they rarely ever die. They give up a bit of farm, they go down, they have good base timing, so it's hard to pressure their towers. We'll see if RNG can get more of an edge in that 2v2 than T1 were able to last time.
It is an interesting sort of switch from Game 1. Game 1, RNG, very teamfight focused, just wanted to scale up. We're happy being 2,500 gold behind at 20-minute mark. Here, T1 are now in that boat. You have superb scaling in the Jinx and the Gangplank. You can be very strong when it comes to 5v5s. You have zone control. You have these big, impactful ultimates. You have protection for your AD carry. And RNG, they have a similar composition when it comes to 5v5, although not as much engaged, not as much zone control. But their early game is much stronger, and they'll be looking to get that early lead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be really interesting. Both mid laners are going for the Electrocute. We're not seeing as much of the Aftershock Lissandra. Of course, that was kind of the tech into LeBlanc. But even in that matchup, a lot of people were starting to go Electrocute more for the 1v1 and less for kind of the survivability in that 5v5. So when you are going Electrocute, it is more risky to use the offensive ultimate instead of the self-ult, because you don't have those resistances from the Aftershock to stay alive. But as far as the trading is concerned, I think Electrocute is just almost always going to be better against the Ahri. Ahri's not like that LeBlanc where she's getting, point blank range, and you can find that really effective W. Ming is going to be Comet and Ignite, so this is really setting up here for that 2v2 heavily. And Faker really taking a nice trade.
Yeah, dodging out the Orbital Deception means that he gets about 100, 150 HP advantage there in the mid lane. Both of them have already popped one stack of their corrupting potions in this matchup. Is one that we have to watch a lot, is our Mercedes-Benz featured matchup in the mid lane. Faker versus Xiaohu, two incredibly decorated players. Of course, Faker, 2 MSI titles, 3 Worlds titles. Xiaohu with 2 MSI titles of his own, both of them fighting to be the first to 3.
Absolutely. And I mean, all time, Faker was 13-6 coming to this series, so make it 13-7 as far as the advantage over Xiaohu. Has historically had a slight CS advantage in lane. But these guys have been very similar top performers for the team, within 30 DPM of each other, 0.1% away as far as total KP. Like, these guys have both been absolute rocks for their team. And we've talked about it a lot. Everyone used to look at RNG as the Uzi team. It is very much now the Xiaohu era. He is that top performer for the team, has been for many years across multiple positions. It's just incredible. And something I think, almost take for granted, the fact that, he won last year in a different role, and now here he is in the finals again at mid lane. He seems just to be able to, at will, I think this year I'll maybe win an international tournament in a new role.
That's what you do. Zeus looking for a lot of damage here. Flashing forward, Bin's going to flash away. Barrel chain does not connect, but Zeus winning out the early trades here versus the Gnar.
Yeah, heavily so, because it was actually a cloth 4-pot start. So he's completely out of potions. The fact that he actually went for this very defensive start, has already burned through all of these potions as well. Oner even pushing Wei off of the red buff here. Went red Raptors and then Gromp and then invades up here towards this top side. So he has the red buff and it does push Wei back. Wei now though going up towards Zeus.
This will dive down in the bottom lane. Ignite ticking on Ming. There's a lot of damage. That flashed away from Zeus though in the top lane. Overstepped a little bit and Wei there for first blood.
Nicely done by Wei. Zeus trying to reset that. Oner now trying to come up here. We'll see if he can actually catch Bin. Wei's just got to make time.
Oner flashes forward, brings down the staff. Oner gets a counter kill for T1. Wave not in the best of states for Zeus. He has TP'd to his tower. Wei's going to try and keep pushing this one out. Dashes away. Counter TP by Bin.
Oh, nicely done there by Oner. Getting aggressive, flashing past Wei to get that kill. But really creative pathing from Wei because, he gets pushed off his red buff. And I think Zeus was just expecting that meant he was going to play it defensive, give the respect over that Oner could be there. But Wei kind of calling the bluff, just goes in, is able to get that kill onto Zeus, grabs first blood for himself. Neither top laner picking up the kill, but still, RNG will grab first blood. And on this wraparound play, as we saw Oner on the minimap, he was over towards mid lane. He was actually looking to make a wraparound play there on Xiaohu. I think his read was Wei would come back towards mid to look to cover. Yep. So he goes up, gets that kill there, and then Oner, Wei has to buy time here for Bin, has to create the space, but he's not able to do it. There was just no hesitation from Oner, flashes in. And again, because there is no red buff on Wei, he's not comfortable taking the 1v1 even afterwards.
Wei once again, though, looking up towards this top side. Will be spotted on this ward in the Tribush. Clears that one out. Oner a little bit late on his... Well, actually not late on his reset. Wei has yet to reset on this Viego. So Oner will have the first reset. Gets himself a Caulfield's Warhammer. Is now going down towards that bottom lane. Speaking of, it's about even down towards that bottom side. You can see Gumayusi still very topped up on health. Still 2 potions to the good.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to see T1, and we were talking a lot about top lane, but they got the flash and the ignite off of Ming, right? And creating that amount of pressure now means that Ming has got to play this 2v2 a lot more defensively, so it's a huge win for Keria and Gumayusi. A range support without flash has got to play passively, and a range support playing passively is not creating the advantages that you really want to see.
Especially with the engaged potential of a Tahm Kench. I think a lot of us think of Tahm Kench as, he protects his AD carry, all he's going to do is devour them, get them out of the fight. But now that Abyssal Voyage is a normal spell, it's no longer his ultimate, you can go in, you can be aggressive, you can use that thick skin to tank up the damage coming back out from RNG.
Absolutely, and if you actually connect with that, there's the ability to follow up with the chompers. There is actually that CC lockdown. Of course, it can be difficult. The speed-ups from the Karma Shield can help Ming to dodge out on those, but we never got to see the setup for the fight. We just got to see the end of that, where T1 was really creating those advantages. Mid lane has created a slight advantage for them, about a wave up there for Faker. Top lane seems very even. Overall, really competitive game, and T1 bouncing back strong here.
Yeah, kind of to be expected that these two teams would be very close. Historically, RNG have slowly been working their way back towards beating T1. They've faced 4 times in best of 5s, and actually RNG have yet to win a single 1-0-4, but the last one was 3-2 in the Worlds. Oh, that one came up and then went down a little bit quicker than I was expecting. So yeah, last one was 3-2 at Worlds 2017. So RNG now looking for their first win against T1 in a best of 5 way. Now looking up towards the top lane. Zeus puts down the cannon brush, just going to try and tread onto Bin. Good night into the wall, but Zeus eats the oranges and he's is K. He walks away. Faker's here. The frozen tomb buries Wei in the ground.
Zeus coming up huge for T1. Wins out in the 1v2, and then Faker on the roam. On the bot side, they do force a flash from Keria, so RNG getting something back. But when GP is getting ahead early in this matchup, there's no worse scaling in the Gnar versus GP matchup. GP is going to outscale you, is creating this advantage already. And T1 utilizing their mid-pressure to just have that roam, comes up to great success.
It's what you said, the ability of Faker to get out of the lane, but also Zeus showing why coming into today he was seen as the best top laner in the tournament. This is what we were expecting in Game 1. Game 1 went to Bin, but the orange is to get out of the Gnar ult, to then trade with the parlay, and Wei oversteps a little bit trying to get some damage onto Zeus.
Yep, absolutely, and there is that electrocute. You can see the Bounty Hunter proc for Faker as well, so getting paid on the roam, collects the kill, he's up farm, he's made the roam happen.
T1 have done such a good job taking Xiaohu off his Galio, meaning he's not able to walk around the map as much now. Only 600 gold ahead, but still a much better start in terms of how the compositions scale into the game.
Exactly. You know, I actually really favor what T1 has drafted in the 5v5 this time around, where last game I was much more on the RNG side. So yes, the gold lead is smaller than last game, but compositionally, I think their game state is much, much better than it was. We can see Wei has snuck in here. They're going to try to find a pick onto Oner.
Oner dashes away. Faker, no frozen tomb for him. Xiaohu and Wei will just be able to steal away this red. Brick comes down. Bin, look at the damage. Zeus, once again, the orange is to get out of the Gnar, but Bin goes into the mini form at the perfect time here to continue to trade. Has that range advantage. Of course, the parlay on a short cooldown. Zeus will get it back up and just clear out the wave.
Yeah, Zeus is going to be pushing this in. It does get a little bit risky because, again, you see Faker is roaming. He's missing from that minimap. So Bin has got to back it up, and Bin has no TP. So even just Faker missing from mid lane means Bin doesn't get to farm this next wave here unless they can see him back in mid. He's just going to have to give it up, take a poor recall, while T1 do collect another Herald here. That is really good for them because Zeus may even be able to grab another plate on top. Yes, RNG take a dragon on the bottom side, but this is going to be minions denied, the advantage getting bigger here, and if he can take down another plate, Herald means potentially full first tower.
This is so much more what we expected from T1. The early game, giving up the dragon, making sure you get the Herald, winning out in your lane state on that top side, and now getting this lead and slowly progressing it. Losing the dragon isn't a big thing for them. They are much more a Herald-focused team. In fact, they've only lost 3 of the first Heralds in any of their games throughout the entirety of MSI.
Yeah, absolutely, and they still have yet to lose a first tower, which I just think is ridiculous. But looking for the engage here onto Gala.
Gala still has the Feather Storm.
Yeah, and able, once you have the minions between you and TK, you're not really worried because the Tongue Lash can't come through. Just able to step back with Ming coming in, but a nice little try there for Keria. Not much of a risk, and if you are able to land it, hey, maybe you get the ulti or something out.
And from RNG's perspective, they are in a little bit of a hole at the moment, as you say. Gangplank just outscales the Gnar as this game goes on, has that cannon barrage to impact other portions of the map. And none of your other lanes are really in a massively advantageous position. Wei is strong, you know, he's 20 CS up, but what can he use that advantage to do? And trying to control the bottom side river with all of this vision that you are so elegantly highlighting, Azael. But what is that getting them?
Well, I mean, it's allowing them to actually have push more safely, right? Because as we saw, every time Faker leaves mid, Bin has to back off. Towards bot side, they have a lot more vision coverage, so they can feel more comfortably pushed up as they are to this tower, right? If you don't have that line of wards, you've got to play much more defensively. You've got to play with much more respect to the fact that these roams and ganks could be coming in. And they know, drafting for this Karma, they need to be creating advantages. They want to be pushing, trying to farm plates here, and that is exactly what they are able to do right now.
I do wonder if Oner is going to make a beeline for the bot lane and just try and get this Rift Herald down for some extra gold into Gumayusi's pockets. He's only about 300 gold behind now. Faker 700 ahead in the mid lane. Zeus about 700 ahead towards that top side, which is where the majority of T1's lead is developing. But getting more gold into a Jinx, getting her towards that first item, getting her out on the map can be a big changing moment, big crux in a game like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jinx is just so strong in the later stages of the game. So yes, they are creating a slight advantage down there in the bot lane, but it hasn't felt like it's been enough to justify the Karma just yet. You know, that 5th pick Karma here is much more, I think, lane focused. Of course, you can be powerful in the team fights, but Keria, you know, drafting the TK clearly to keep this Jinx safe in those later stages. Wei trying to look for an angle here to wrap around, but there's vision in that river, and there's not going to be much of an opportunity here, I think, unless Zeus way oversteps.
RNG continuing just to look for a little bit. Zeus, Nard back, eats the oranges,
nice
dodges away from the wallop for the stun, but Wei coming in with a Spectral Maw as well. Zeus does still have the flash, no stuns available, but the boomerang will find its mark. Bin on the board.
Nicely done by Bin, just scoops him in as Zeus steps forward for that wave. They do find an opportunity here to go in, get that kill. That is critical to slow down Zeus, who's already on Triforce here, and you look at the itemization of Bin. It's not much.
Everfrost, Charm comes out. Xiaohu able to walk away from this one. Frozen Tomb, Spirit Rush enough from Xiaohu to escape. Ming now looking for the chains as well. Faker has to flash. Oner goes back in the cycle. Spirit Rush once again. Oner, Xiaohu able to dodge across the wall and Wei there in time. Meanwhile in the bottom lane, Gumayusi, Gala flashes, but the super mega death rocket lives up to his name. Wei though still on the chase as Keria does still have a flash to get away. Faker hits to try and protect as Keria puts the tongue lash down. Faker, glacial path across the wall, perfectly placed to escape the fight.
Oh, it's so scrappy in game 2. Both teams got their warm-ups out in game 1. They're ready to go. Gala trying to dive Gumayusi there. He had the earlier Gale Force, so wanted to make use of that Mythic. And he's looking for the play on the bot side. And when you do have Mythic to no advantage, you almost always want to look for these aggressive plays here. He lands the root, and Gumayusi flashing back, proccing the heal there with the fleet footwork, and then has the spacing to land the ulti there onto the Xayah. Really well played, and so frustrating for Gala because it looked like he had him dead to rights.
Yeah, that single auto attack leaving him on about 10 HP. Gala would have thought that he had that one. Zeus though, good little remove Scurvy there to escape parlay. Cannon barrage, Bin's already flashed. Oh. Bin, he's on the edge. He's on the edge of it. Zeus walks in, blap, blap. Zeus takes the kill.
Ah, you're between a rock and a hard place right there. Zeus knocks him down with the pistol. And gonna have the push here. Bin does have TP, but at the same time, T1 pushing on the other side of the map. This is the T1 we have come to expect.
Wei flashing, Heartbreaker. Not available for him. The Riptail does go down though, so that's a lot of plates not falling into Gumayusi's pocket.
It's really interesting because Wei, yes, he has to commit the flash, but that's basically a flash to prevent a kill's worth of gold. So in this case, even though it looks a little bit silly, I'd actually call worth on that. I think that is pretty good. What is unfortunate is that a full tower farmed up there by Zeus. Solo gold on the first tower. Look at the discrepancy between those top laners. 2,000 already for Zeus. He is off to the races, and Faker up 1K in mid lane. That is the big concern here. T1 solo laners are just looking unstoppable in this one.
2,000 gold the lead for T1 as we get towards that 14-minute mark. And although RNG have been in this position before, 2,500 gold behind on average in their LPL finals, which went to all 5 games against TES. Faker and T1 have so often shown us how you snowball a game from this position. Early game lead, strong composition, good scaling, you get 2 items, and you just demolish the enemy team.
It's going to be really, really hard, I feel like, for RNG. It will take some incredible plays, from Xiaohu and Gala in particular, because Bin is put so far down, he's never going to be relevant in the 1v1 unless they can find some way to get multiple picks off on Zeus. Zeus, excuse me. So a lot of pressure now on these RNG carries to really make things happen here. And we'll see if they're able to do that. But T1 are just better set up for success in this. Their 5v5 is looking better. Their early game, they have a 2,000 gold lead. RNG's lone advantage really is the 2 dragons. So I'm curious to see if they're going to be willing to just hard commit and fight this next dragon.
It's a Hextech soul as well. A very powerful soul, probably the strongest in the game. The gates, of course, give us a little bit of joy as we watch the players tunnel through them. Second Rift Herald, though, secured by T1. Unless Wei does something miraculous, he's backing, so he's not going to be here. T1 will get the second Herald. They have a 2,500 gold lead, and now RNG are left looking for answers. You have to expect the next dragon will be the play. Whether RNG decide to contest is a question for another day.
Exactly. I mean, the question is, do you give up this next dragon here and potentially your soul stacking condition to try to trade for gold on the other side of the map? Because T1 are pressing heavily. This mid lane tower is dead to rights. All of T1 is in the area here.
Faker first to move as well, so Xiaohu's going to have to take a very long way around if T1 decides to continue their advance. Rift Herald will fall though, so T1 call off the battle in the mid lane.
Yeah, Faker just playing bodyguard there, blocking out Xiaohu, and now, a nice little sidestep. Both players battling back and forth here. Faker taking the claw in, trying to threaten Xiaohu and force out the ulti, knowing the Oner is in the area. But both of these mid laners know exactly what the other is doing, and it's kind of this back and forth game of cat and mouse. Faker having that defensive position around mid lane, then Xiaohu trying to take one of his own down here towards bot lane and create these slight advantages.
It's been a back and forth between the two of them for so long. Worlds 2016, 2017, both of them were there. Faker constantly coming out on top, and now it seems like it's Xiaohu's time to shine. MSI title last year. Charm comes out. Glacial Path. The Charm was through the entire duration of the Glacial Path, so Faker couldn't take it, but a good Everfrost will mean that he manages to escape with his life.
Nice little attempt from Xiaohu. You've got to look for those sorts of plays when you are losing control in a game. Wei now trying to get coverage here. They have delayed the base from Faker quite a lot. His TV's not quite up. But Oner is down here. You can see Keria moving down as well. They don't want to give up this tower for free, trying to keep the gold advantage in their favor prior to this next dragon, knowing that from T1 side, you pretty much have to fight this third dragon, it feels like, and they're in a great spot to do so. They want to make sure that their item completions are much better, as Faker's looking for an aggressive play.
Looking for Wei and Ming is going to go the long way around. Tower does still stand here, though, so Wei and Ming know they have the safety of that structure. Oner steps forward, puts the control ward in the bush, and decides against going further. So he's using the S move thing here. I quite like it on Wukong, because when you press S, your character just stops. But with Wukong, when you go into your decoy as well, the character model does the same thing. So he's trying to bait the fact that he's using his decoy in case anyone has vision on him. And RNG then have to respect the fact that he could be jumping onto their faces.
And I was going to say, you know, you're not going to see something like that in pro play. But then we saw the Faker flash in the bush yesterday. Which was absolutely crazy. So you can never put it past them to pull off these plays, man, you know, at this level.
Best players in the world right now on the MSI stage. It's not too surprising that they are pulling out all of the stops, Azael. And this game has been defined by T1 coming out on top of a lot of those small battles. Zeus, especially in the top lane, having a stellar performance, much more like the Zeus we saw against G2 yesterday and through the MSI Rumble stage.
Absolutely. Already has that collector completed. You know, some people were critical of the more kind of bruisery, split pushy style of builds. Most people are more of a fan of Triforce into crit. And I'm kind of expecting him to continue down that path. We'll see if he diverges, but you can just complete a Zeal item, go your IE as the 4th, and you can become incredibly threatening towards those later stages. You know, one crit GP barrel can absolutely change a game. As Bin knows all too well.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Players on both pain.
So much pain.
Players on both sides who've caused European fans pain in the past. As Faker looks to try and cause Xiaohu some pain in the bottom lane. Cleanse away there from the Frozen Tomb. Keria here for a little bit of help, but with both the towers still remaining and the charm going wide, both the teams will call off their advance. Super Mega Death Rocket, where's that one going? I've seen Prey hit these with an arrow, not with a rocket, and this one goes just a little bit wide.
Not quite able to connect. Would have been really nice right before this spawn of this dragon here. And we'll see what the resets do look like for RNG. They're resetting very late. You can see Bin's heading out towards top, and Mega is expiring. So I don't think they're even going to contest this. I think it will just be a T1 Dragon, and RNG will try to get some gold back on the map. But the problem is they don't have their waves really set up to do so. You know, you look at the waves, it's already pushed in all the way up here from T1. T1's pushing in mid. You know, bot is pushing in as well. There's not really anywhere that RNG can go to grab a free tower. You know, should be able to get back towards that top side pretty quickly to defend this if they want. You know, Zeus could even commit his ult towards top side to defend that tower and take out the mini wave.
Pistol Voyage going down, they're looking for Ming. He flashes. Cannon Barrage was an option. Super Mega Death Rocket still on cooldown, so they don't know if they had enough damage for the full follow-up. As you say, the Cannon Barrage from Zeus could just go down towards that top lane, although T1 might want to save it for the next possible fight, and it looks like that's what they're going to do. They are advancing towards the tier 2 in the bottom side of the map.
Exactly. They're just going to try to trade this tier 1 top for 2 towers bot. They already knocked down the tier 1. RNG laid on the resets, and T1 have 5 members here. Xiaohu's not going to be able to defend this on his own.
And the threat of the claw as well. You see it advancing towards you. You have to back away because a single Frozen Tomb locks you in place. Xiaohu no cleanse as well because he used it earlier.
Exactly, that's the key thing. You know, Faker trading his ult aggressively in that one trade. It's like, well, you're just getting the cleanse, what's the point? But the ulti cooldown for Lissandra is much lower than that of the cleanse. Yep. So if you can trade that out, you know, rinse and repeat, then even just that claw threatens enough that Xiaohu knows, if I get ulted, I'm dead without cleanse, so I must respect it. I must use the ulti defensively here. T1 looking really, really strong in game number 2. You know, 3,500 ahead at this point. Faker's got the Zonias through. 2 item completions are through for, you know, all of their key members now.
Ming has no flash. And Oner is there. Tongue lash into the Abyssal Voyage. No knockup needed. The Cyclone for the follow-up. Ming trying to heal himself up. Not enough. Ignite ticks and Keria takes the kill. Bin though now on the chase. Any TP opportunities for RNG? None. As it looks like the Hextech Gate will be enough for Keria to escape.
Yeah, going to be able to get that kill and get out. A great job punishing this squishy support here, this Enchanter support. Ming on a warding mission, knowing that, you know, hey, post 20 minutes, they have Jinx, they have GP. There is a possibility that they could start looking towards Baron. So he, at the very least, wants to maintain that kind of vision in their own jungle where they could check that from.
It's part of the risk of having a ranged support that's quite squishy. It's like, who face checks for us? Right now, Bin with Gnar really is the only one on RNG that can face check, and it's the same problem that we saw T1 having in game 1. Like, who could face check on that team? Nocturne, well, Oner often was dead before they could even really begin the fight. Vision control for T1. Sublime down towards this Baron pit. They have total control. You can see RNG's vision only remains in their own side of the jungle. It's very hard now for RNG to find any opportunities, any avenues to advance this game.
Yeah, it is becoming really, really difficult for them. So they are going to be the ones with more pressure. You know, T1 can just kind of sit back, relax, continue doing what they are doing. They've been playing this out so well. Faker now looking for Ming again.
Ming, he's just left to his own devices, trying to get vision down. Wei trying to fight Keria here. The thick skin will help out Keria a little bit as Gumayusi and Oner are here for the flank. Gala looking for Oner. TP coming in as RNG. Maybe it found the fight that they were looking for. Cannon Barrage goes down. Oner low, Everfrost short. Zeus trying to dodge away from Xiaohu. Oner on the backline, but Wei's already taken him out. Good charm. Oranges from Zeus. Bin looking for the bricks. Gets it onto Zeus and the chase continues. RNG flash forward. The bricks miss. Wei goes in with a heartbreaker and Zeus will fall.
Oh, that's huge for RNG. They get multiple kills here. Oner is down. They're going to go to Baron. It looked like T1 had everything in their favor. And just like that, RNG find the window to take the fight. And now T1 looking like they are unwilling to give this up. Guma still has all summoners. Faker has ulti. Will they try?
A Jinx and a Tahm Kench versus a team of Baron. You've seen this before. The charm flashed away by Gumayusi. Faker looking to get in from the back of the pit. Frozen Tomb available for him. RNG calling T1's bluff. And Faker finds them all. Gumayusi, Keria, and Faker will not go quietly into the night. Form is temporary. Faker is forever.
Oh my God, T1 going wild there. Keria is even going to chase him down and take down Wei. You hear Busan erupt as the unkillable Demon King flies into the pit, and him and Gumayusi make RNG regret trying that Baron in their faces. 5v3. Be damned, they get it all. And they're still on the chase here. All right,
oh, wait.
All right, okay.
Yeah, we see you, Wei. Good escape. Keeps the jungler up. Means that Baron is a little bit harder for T1. Of course, the Hextech gates mean... Oh, Baron's already taken. Actually, RNG did secure it in the middle of the fight. I was so focused on the kills.
It harder to
it makes it a lot harder, you're right.
Way harder.
Yeah, RNG get at least one Baron out alive.
Yeah.
So Wei can buff up those minions, but now T1 making a beeline for the other side of the map. Dragon up in 30 seconds time.
The rich get richer though. You look over at T1 side, third items now coming through here. LDR for Zeus, or Zeus, I keep saying that. IE now through here for Gumayusi. So that is massive, and you can see Faker likely working towards a death cap next. He already has the Mage Eyes, you know, is looking really, really strong already. Do RNG start this up on spawn? That is the big question.
TP behind? Oh no, it's TP over to the other side, yeah. Doesn't want to get flanked. RNG flanked so well in game 1. T1 though, 4,500 gold ahead. Won the last fight. Faker and Oner looking for a position to get onto this backline. What have we got in terms of ultimates and flashes? Gala and Ming both have their flash. Gumayusi none, Keria none, Faker none. No one on T1 has that summoner spell. Bin looking to try and get on towards that backline. Xiaohu goes forward. The charm's going to connect. Great devour from Keria. Once again in the right position. Faker pops the Frozen Tomb in the midst of RNG. Rooted up. There's the stopwatch. Heartbreaker in by Wei. The Cyclone onto the backline. Glacial Path for the follow-up. The Super Mega Death Rocket once again lives up to its name. Gumayusi with a triple in the river.
And they're going to push down mid. They're going to potentially look to try to end here. Forget the dragon. T1 racing towards that mid lane. They want to tie this series up.
T1 heard you talking smack in game 1 and they came back with a haymaker. RNG could do nothing in the early game, could do nothing in the mid game, and when they did something, they were slapped back into the dirt. T1 advancing for these Nexus towers. 1-1 in their eyes. Busan erupts as T1 look to make RNG pay for their hubris. Faker still alive. Ming tries to take him down, but he's unkillable for a reason. 1-1 in the MSI Finals.
8-0-2 from Gumayusi, stepping up huge in the team fights. T1 looking so strong in game number 2. I love the draft. Zeus was incredible in the early stages, finding even the 1v2 kill, escaping. Faker, it felt like, was everywhere on the Lissandra, taking a page out of Xiaohu's book. What he used against EG looked very, very effective here. But man, what a crazy game. It comes down to the huge moment around the Baron where, RNG, it felt like had been getting choked out for so long. They find a couple picks and you're saying, oh my God, they're actually going to turn this game around. They're going to get the Baron. It's 5v3, but then Faker with the perfect engage and Gumayusi with the perfect follow-up wipes them off the map, and really that wiped out the rest of their hopes for that game.
T1 were born in the Baron flip. They were molded by it. They didn't see a clean Baron setup. Yeah, exactly. They didn't see a clean Baron setup until they were in the MSI finals, and then they were blinded by it. RNG as well, blinded by T1, blinded by Faker in that game. What a performance all around by T1. And I'll be honest, after game one, I wondered if T1 would be able to find those early game leads like we've seen them do in the past, and whether they'd be able to really challenge RNG. But here, the fact they drafted Teamfight and then we're still able to take out RNG, it's a good sign for the rest of the series, Azael.
I mean, it is absolutely terrifying. When you have the Gnar to GP, you go cloth armor, 4-pot, and you're out of potions at like level 2, level 3, and the GP is pressing.